Let me ask you, what's the value to historians and to journalists of finally this weekend, at the end of last week, finally getting this transcript, except to see that there's a conflict between what Cheney said on the record now with what his chief of staff said with regard to how he got the information about the CIA identity of Valerie Wilson. Your thoughts, Michael, first.
Yeah, well, like I said, I thought it was a very revealing look at Dick Cheney behind closed doors, how he operates, how he thinks, how he treats people, what he thought of people, his views of the CIA. You know, probably everybody was fixated at the time on the criminal case there about the outing of Valerie Plame Wilson. But the real larger political crime, as I think David and I wrote in Hubris, was the distortions and manipulations of intelligence. And one of the issues that that came up during that interview was the selective declassification of a national intelligence estimate that allowed Scooter Libby to go out and selectively leak details to Judy Miller of the New York Times, leaking those details that supported the White House position, and of course withholding a lot of details that undercut what the White House was saying publicly. And that was a process in which the president declassified at the request of Cheney, and then Cheney directed, according to testimony at the trial, Libby to go out and do that. And of course Cheney in that interview said he had no recollection, and then said he wouldn't answer any questions about his conversation with Libby about that because it was covered by presidential privilege.
You know,
and Chris, I think a big picture here, you ask what historians are going to look at, they're going to look back and read this transcript, and they're going to see that this was not a truthful bunch. This was a criminal investigation in which the president asked everybody to cooperate. Dick Cheney was part of that. Those officials asked to cooperate. And as Mike mentioned, he was a reluctant witness. He's acting more like a criminal defendant than as a vice president who cares about the truth and cares about honesty and government. It's on every single page, whether he's denying things or not recalling things. It's that attitude that comes through, and I think it was the attitude that led them to believe they could get away with one of the greatest cons in American foreign policy, that there was a reason for a war in Iraq.
Thank you, David Corn. Thank you, Mike Osikoff, for excellent investigative reporting.